Thank you, Jeff, and good morning, everyone. Sorry, can I just go back to that slide? So I, Simon and Jan are going to try and attempt to give you an overview of what we've been doing in Framework 6 to really answer Jeff's question about where our food comes from. But I should also say that we're going to try and reflect the contribution of over 200 researchers that have been working on this aspect. And I think we will struggle to do that. So with that caveat, we will attempt our best endeavours to do that. So thank you. So I'm just going to give you a sort of a fairly light touch, an overview of the various key outcomes of the research. And then Simon and Jan are going to go into a bit more detail about some of the technical aspects, the key points of the research that we developed. So if we can take our minds back to sort of 2003 when these sort of projects were commissioned or sort of thought of, this was the time before we had the General Food Law, so which was going to be implemented in 2005. And for those that don't know, that was the regulations which effectively prescribed one step up, one step down traceability. So the things that we really needed to do was provide some kind of high-level template of traceability that companies could use and improve really the way that they trace foods, but also improve recalls, etc. But alongside that, besides tracking and tracing products, you also need to assure the consumer that they're getting what they think they're getting. And as you will see later in this presentation, you also need improved verification procedures. And that's a key part of what was done in this research. So what did we do? Well, we looked, as I said, at non-proprietary aspects of traceability systems. And why did we do that? Because things were moving so fast in the commercial sector that we needed to not halt that, but actually help and support those sort of initiatives. As I say, we developed verification systems to confirm that the food was from where it's supposed to be or what the type of food it was. But we also undertook widespread consumer behaviour studies and linked with consumer organisations to make sure consumer aspects were addressed. So incorporating those consumer aspects into traceability systems is all very good and to have new technology. But the key aspect was to implement this through demonstration activities in Europe and also in China to actually ascertain how valuable were these systems. Alongside that was extensive training activities so that people knew the benefits of both the technology and the science behind it. And as you've probably already heard, extensive dissemination activities both inside Europe and throughout the world. So some of the sort of basic building blocks of traceability needed to be developed, and a key part of this aspect was to develop an infrastructure where we could better differentiate food products. Why would we want to do that? For two major reasons. One is that if we can have product differentiation, then we can attempt to give the consumer what they want in terms of perceived quality attributes, so regional origin for being one example. But also, of course, if we have more detailed numbering systems, we can actually have a more selective product recall, so therefore product recall becomes more efficient. Another main sort of obstacle to improve traceability was the fact that whereas traceability was being developed, traceability systems were being developed within a company, between company communication was very difficult. And that was because there were lots of individual proprietary solutions being offered, but they couldn't talk to each other. So what was needed was a common language, a non-proprietary language that could be developed so that you could have communication flow between different proprietary systems along the food chain. And that was developed through TraceCore XML, and we developed that in consultation with all the relevant stakeholders, and that has now been taken up by the industry standards and implemented. We also developed good traceability guides on a Wikipedia so that people, SMEs especially, could go to these pages and see how to implement traceability in their own sector. And here, for instance, we have one in the mineral water sector, but there are lots of both generic and individual sector guides on the wiki pages. So these are all available on the websites. We also needed to address stakeholder aspects as well, so not policy, regulators, consumers and industry. So for those sort of non-experts to sort of point them in the right direction. So there are different layers of technical expertise. So having done all that, we then implemented it in industry. So if we can take ourselves back to, in this case, 2007, so that's only 2 years after the implementation of General Food Law, and we have this case with an SME, a water company in the Basque region, who implemented this system, and these are some of the aspects that happened. So, okay.
This water is really good. Let's see what information they have about my bottle in the internet. Okay, the bottle was filled on the 23rd of February 2007, and the quality checks at 6:25 were all right. I can even take a look at the details of the quality check. This is really high quality water. I'd really like to find the source, so let's take a look.
At Insalas, they fill 250,000 bottles every day and store them at the warehouse ready for delivery. They contain 200,000 litres of water. We have developed a methodology which allows us to investigate the production process of any food company. In process mapping, we pay special attention to all the parameters which are relevant to traceability purposes, so we map outputs to inputs. Earlier parameters were recorded by hand. This did not allow for detailed control of production, especially without being on site. Now we have installed a system which allows this to happen electronically. At Insalas, the quality director is also responsible for any incidents relating to water quality or the packaging materials. The software allows her to retrieve relevant information very quickly. At reception, data are now also captured electronically, as barcodes can be generated easily from a normal computer. Internal labeling is no issue anymore.
This is where the water of Insalas originates. By using traceability, we have easily found the water source. Pretty nice here. Traceability has a lot of advantages.
Okay, just to let you know, that was an excerpt, and if you want to see the full version, it's on the lobby. In the lobby. So, traceability systems, all very well and good, but why do we need verification procedures? Well, traceability systems don't make food safe. They don't assure product integrity. And the main reason for that is that traceability systems track and trace food packaging. So you need verification methods, and a good reason, a good example here we've got here, well, this is quite a big case that it came up mostly in the UK, where we have some vodka here, and to the consumer, all of that looks very consumable. But one of those bottles has high levels of methanol. So at the very best, you'll get a severe headache. At worst, something much worse would happen. Now, which one of those bottles is the one that you want to drink? I'm not going to tell you, but other people will be able to, and that's why you need verification methods. So, what did we do in terms of developing systems that would actually verify our various origin attributes? So we developed systems which can actually trace, using GPS technology, to the actual fields where the food was produced. And these systems have been implemented by the European Commission in terms of the Common Agricultural Policy. We developed spectroscopic fingerprinting techniques where we can actually characterize foods holistically. So is this product? And again, these are being taken up by industry in quite a big way. But we're actually going to talk about today, Simon and Jan are going to talk about isoscapes and species and varietal origin. So we've developed lots of systems for telling whether the product is a particular type of olive oil or whether it's from a beef animal or whatever. And Jan is going to talk specifically about fish. But I'm now going to hand over to Simon Kelly, who's going to talk you through isoscapes.